I'd like you to rethink the concept of time that it takes to make a decision. Javier Suarez, one of the students at NYU, had noticed and really grabbed onto the concept of the economics of thinking that you heard about earlier. And he wrestled with it because he felt that while it was complete, it needed more to dimensionalize it into other decision areas of paid to think. And over some time, we came up with this process fundamentally off of his insight that there's the time that it takes or the impact that you have when you create a decision is extremely important, and it needs some type of tool to be able to clarify it. What he had come up with was this, or the thought was that there's that if you make an egg and you're gonna make a poached egg, and you can undercook your poached egg by going, say, 1 minute, and you can overcook it by going 4 or 5, that there's a right time and a right amount of energy necessary to create a poached egg at 3 to 4 minutes. And he translated that, or we translated this to, if you were going to, for example, work on a project of building a mall or putting in building a new ship, you might have 2 years to make that thing happen, to make the decisions to put it into place. But yet, if you were going to put on a holiday party, you might do that within an hour. And what we came up with is called the economics of timing. And the economics of timing is an approach to, how would I say this? I'm gonna start from right there. The economics of timing is a way for you to be able to say, how much time do I need to work on a project or initiative or decision, as compared to being too slow. So I'm going to give you a graphical form, and I'm going to describe it for you, and then you'll be able to understand how the pieces all fall together. Now, what I'm going to give you first is a story. Then what I'm going to do is going to give you a graphical form that associates with it. Don and Bill are planning a holiday vacation together, and Don is always very busy, so Bill does the work in this situation. He goes home, he sits at the computer, he figures out all the things that are necessary, and eventually he ends up buying the tickets and putting together this itinerary. And they decided what they were going to do is they were going to go to the Mediterranean, land in Rome, travel across underneath the Mediterranean, up through the rivers of France, and then through Spain, and then back up into the UK. And that was the trip that they had. So they bought their tickets, they were excited about what they were going to be doing, they packed up their things, they went to the airport in Boston, hopped on a plane, got some sleep on the way, and landed, and they were excited about this new journey they were going to take. And Eileen, Bill's wife, excited to pull out the tickets for the boat ride, pulls them out of the bag and goes, oh, and hands them over to her husband. And Bill looks at it. The timing was off. They had missed the boat. The boat had already taken off. Now, the economics of timing is something about making sure that you spend the right amount of time to make the right decisions, to do it clearly. And what Don said was he remembers when he was trying to make these decisions, he was very busy at work. He had a lot of things going on. And some of the decisions he made were just a little bit too fast looking backwards. So the graph that I'm going to describe to you in verbal form, which is not as easy to do, includes the understanding of the cost and benefit and the time that it takes to be able to make a decision properly. Think about it this way. I'd like you to think about there's a graph where we have a timeline on it, and we have a benefits on the top and a cost on the bottom. Now, if you were to make a rapid decision without thinking it through, that would be an individual who is a fast shooter. A fast shooter, hey, I'll make the decision, I'll go for it, we just need to do this. But the cost of making a bad decision or a fast shooter decision, often not taking into play some of those other pieces, could be very concerning. It's the old measure twice, cut once. If you don't make the right decision, sometimes the opportunity doesn't show up again, and it could be very costly for your organization, very costly for you, your career, your opportunities that you have. If you spend the time, the right amount of time, you can hit the optimum level and hit the nail on the nose. You've heard about real estate people, and you probably know people who've said, you know, I looked at the opportunities for real estate and I jumped in. It was right when it was hot. I sold when it was out, and you said, wow, I wish I did that. But you also know people who looked at it and said, wait a little bit, and the prices went up. Wait a bit, the prices went up. And next thing you know, I've been here for 12 years. I can't do that. That's all part of that analysis to that becomes a fast shooter or not. If we go down the curve again, let's say your analysis to paralysis. Analysis to paralysis person is the person who overthinks things. They wait too long. And these can be in any type of condition. They're the person who's constantly thinking and thinking and thinking they're moving things forward. Now, that paradigm, that shift from fast shooter to analysis to paralysis, if you can change some of your behaviors, and you'll do that through Paid to Think with all the tools you're going to get, you'll start to be making more focused, more timely decisions that work. And they work the first time through. Now on the same chart, if you imagine we have a curve going on it, and we have our up on top here, we have our benefits and we have our cost, and here's time. I'd like you to picture now we've gone this way. Depending on the type of conditioning you're in, the chart becomes lower and higher. Meaning, if we're just gonna go out to the movies tonight, and you say to me, hey David, would you like to go to the movies? And I say, let me think about it, I'm gonna get back to you. And I get back to you too late, you say, an hour later, you say, sorry, tickets are gone. I mean, I tried to hold them off for you. Well, my costs could be very inconsequential. They could be very limited because I just missed going to a movie. I mean, I wanted to go, but maybe I can go tomorrow. That's low, but there are decisions that you make that are extremely high. And it's in organizational design or organizational thinking, I'd like you to think about it as the frontline employee can only spend so much, so their decisions have certain types of impacts. But the executive decisions are large, so they have larger costs and benefits. And you have to realize where you are on the scope or that pyramid of decision making so that you make the decision that's right, and Paid to Think will help you do that. There's also a time component that's extremely important to keep in mind. That if we were building a new utility, an electrical generating facility, we might have to spend 5 or 7 years to do that properly. If we shorten it too much, we might not get the legal permits, we might not be able to get things happen in the right time frame or get them done or approved. And if we do them too slowly, we move the opportunity to gain the 20 or 30 years that we need to be able to make the life cycle work. So in this new concept of the economics of timing, we've got several variables. We've got cost and benefit, we've got this time continuum, we have the analysis to paralysis and fast shooter, we have where you are in the continuum in terms of in the organization and how long it takes for some decisions to be made. Now, I know that sounds very complicated, yet we do this all day long. We make decisions. And I bet you some of you right now have already identified yourself as a fast shooter, or maybe make this easier for you. I want you to think of someone you work with or you know. What would you define them to be? I have a relative, I would say he is a analysis to paralysis. Always talks about real estate, never buys it. Never buys it, lost many opportunities. And then I know some people who are extreme fast shooters and they're always doing the work over and over and over again. And the opportunities are not there. So if you changed your behavior, what would happen? How would you be different? It's a little windy today, or becoming windier. There's a guy by the name of Jeff Gaspin in 2009. He was heading NBC's television network, and everything he did tended to work. He put out new programs, new television shows, and that's not to say his rest of his career went that way, but in this certain time frame, everything was going well for him. And when he was quoted about his way of looking at the world, and he said he would take people, this guy Skikes, who was talking about, John Skikes, the former chief of VH1, said he would take hundreds and hundreds of ideas before he had a show. And it wasn't at his whim of throwing something against the wall. He thinks something through until it ended up securing and winning. Paid to Think will get you there. Paid to Think will give you the tools to manage the economics of timing, no matter how your life has been in the past. Pay attention, and you'll win more often.